Also brought to you by Rulins. For your important real estate decisions, contact Rulins today at 938-1000 or info@rhulens.com. And now, Radio Cayman presents The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. Wow, I was happy to hear that change to the intro right there. I thought it was going to still say Anita Khan. So this is Kathy Miller, your new host for the Business Buzz. And Anita Khan did step down in March. So I am your new host. And I hope that I can, fill the hearts of our listeners just as much as she did, So those are some big shoes to fill. We're very used to Anita as a broadcaster on radio here at Radio Cayman, but I'm very excited for this opportunity, so stick with me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to welcome in this very first segment of the Business Buzz. And my first segment this morning, we have in studio Anjali Matu and Brittany Cousins from Maples Group in Cayman. They're here to discuss the Non-Legal Scholarship and Internship program at Maples. So welcome, ladies. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's good to have you. Thanks for being here on my first show as the host of the Business Buzz. So tell us, who you are, what your roles are with Maples.
Sure. So shall I start us off? So I'm Anjali. I work at Maples in the HR department. So I'm our learning and development lead. And I really have responsibility for all of our early careers programs. So that means internships, scholarships, articles of clerkship, which is what we call the trainee program for people that want to become qualified lawyers. I'm kind of there from start to finish on that, all the way from when people are applying for their first internship, all the way through to someone qualifying as a lawyer. I get to be involved in all those programs and see that growth. So it's a fantastic role that I'm really enjoying. So I've been with Maples for about 4 years now.
Okay, so you get to be there for every step of the way, pretty much, for people's careers. That's a pretty nice thing to see that progression.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
And Brittany.
Hi. Well, yes, as you mentioned, I'm Brittany Cousins, and I'm currently an article clerk at the Maples Group. And as an article clerk, as Anjali mentioned, you rotate through the various legal departments and make an informed decisions towards the end to where you'd most likely want to qualify into. So, yeah, it's been pretty exciting so far.
We were just talking about this right before the show started. So
I
want to get a little bit more of a background from you as an article clerk, right?
Right.
So you are it's about a year and a half that you have to article for?
Yes, 18 months to be exact.
And you're in about the last 6 months or so.
I am.
Okay. So how did you get involved with Maples?
Well, it's quite a long story, which I'll try to cut short for the sake of this interview. Basically, I signed up for a work experience with Cayman Finance, and I got paired with a mentor who happened to be a partner at the Maples Group. So we would meet on a weekly basis. We'd go through various things that I learned in the weekly workshops, etc. And I just found myself asking him more questions towards his, career, his career field rather than what I wanted to do at the time, which happened to be software development. So towards the end of the program, I actually applied to 2 firms, got an internship at another firm. And it was at that time, I spoke to my mentor at the time and I told him, law is what I want to do. And from there, he's been guiding me through my legal studies and through my articles of clerkship as well. And I've actually gained other mentors from the Maples Group as well. So, the Maples Group is really big on mentoring. And, it actually goes to show that the core values of the Maples Group isn't just something that's thrown on the website for the sake of marketing, but it's something that is actually embedded in the, people who work there. So it's good to see.
That's a good way to segue into what the culture is like at Maples. But before we get there, I want to know, you said you were interested in software development, right?
Right.
So what made you say no? Did you intern as well in that department?
Right. So I actually interned with a few software developers at the firm that I was working with at the time. And it was actually being there and, going through the work that they did that I realized, okay, there's no way I could spend my life doing this. And actually I was studying computer science at the time and there was a lot of math in there. And I realized, okay, I'm not a math person. So it's time for me to be completely real with myself. This is just not going to work.
I understand that. I do. That was me with architecture too. At one point, I know I told you I also at one point wanted to be a lawyer, but somebody said there was so much math involved, and that absolutely just scared me. So. But internships are important because it was through internships that you realized, hey, this is how kind of the area that I want to focus on, where I want to build my career.
Exactly. I can't emphasize the importance of an internship enough. Not only can you, figure out what the culture is of that particular firm or business that you want to gain an internship with, but you can meet people who may go on to be your mentor. It's really important to have a mentor to guide you and support you through your career, right? So yeah, internships are very important, and like you said, it can help you to figure out whether this career is for you or not. And it's better to do that at an early stage rather than, at a later stage.
Right. And you're almost there right now. You're almost a full qualified lawyer.
Almost fully qualified. So a lot of smiles over here.
That's a good story. What's it like to work at Maples? What's the work office culture like there?
So I think what we value quite a bit, and Brittany gave us a really good sort of introduction to this, is relationships, right? So we're a very values-based culture. We talk about values even at the earliest stages, when folks are coming in for work experience in year 10 and 11, all the way through sort of training programs and then being a junior employee and up until you become a senior partner. That's still very much a thread that runs through everything we do. So certainly, I think Maples has a reputation in the community for excellence, and that is something that we're really, really proud of. And we continue to sort of strive to make sure we're always at the top of our game in that way. But also a big part of our culture is relationships. So that open door policy, again, it's really not just lip service. The doors are physically open, to go in and have a chat with someone about maybe, a concept that you don't understand or something that's been in the news that you're really interested in talking about more. And that goes across departments. So I work in HR, but I know that I can call up, one of the lawyers and say, hey, I read this. What do you think of it? How do you think this is going to impact us? And we're very engaged in those kinds of conversations, as well as the training approach, right? Training is very important to people at all levels of the firm, and everyone wants to get involved. Even the most senior folks who are at the top of their sort of their game in what they do, their specialisms in law, are still very involved in these programs. So I love to see that. It's one of my personal values, is kind of continuous growth and continuous learning. And so it's just wonderful to sort of experience that in our day-to-day work.
Does Maples support that? Like for all levels, as you mentioned, the seniors, is there still professional development even for the seniors?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So we have some good sort of solid professional development programs. And also for the sort of middle experienced folks, right? Because we very much hear a lot about internships and scholarships for young people and then people doing sort of professional degrees. But there are people in the middle who are sort of in the middle of their career. Yes. And we've got a lot going on for them as well. Okay. And certainly the mentorship is a big part of that.
That's good, because sometimes I feel that people of a more middle age are kind of forgotten. As you said, middle of their career is a little forgotten. Mm-hmm. You're not brand new at it. And there could be a limited amount of professional development that's offered, but it's good to know that at all levels, Maples is there to support you wherever you're trying to go with your career. Yeah. So I like that. Yeah. You also have some great parties. Mm-hmm. I would like to say, all of a sudden we hear about some amazing artist that's here in Cayman, and it's been a huge secret, and boom, it's like the day of. You hear about, and I'm like, so how do I get into Maples? I would like to be on a secret invite list. I don't know if this is possible.
We'll see if we can make that happen.
That's one of the great things as well about Maples is how you guys come together and just celebrate. I like that too.
And that's part of the reward culture as well, right? It's not just about reward is not just about salary. It's not just about bonus. It's also about the experience that you have coming to work every day, the things that you can look forward to, those social events that we have. It's not just the big parties. We have smaller events as well that our social committee organizes. So it's really a little community.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us about the Non-Legal Scholarship Program at Maples.
Yes, I would love to. So our Non-Legal Scholarship Program is for everyone. It is not, so we have two programs, the Legal Scholarship and the Non-Legal. And Non-Legal is what we're talking about today. And that is for any degree that you want to do in any field of study. So we often hear people very surprised that you can do a scholarship for the medical field, or you can go and study aeronautics, or you can study music and those sorts of things from Maples.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it had to be tied in with what positions are available at Maples.
Not at all.
Oh,
no.
okay.
So our non-legal scholarship is purely an effort to support the education of young people in Cayman, regardless of what it is that they want to do with their careers and with their lives. And all we're looking for is excellence in whatever field it is that you're interested in. Calling back to that value of excellence again is sort of, if you believe that you can be the best in the field that you want to be in, and you believe that you can bring that expertise back to the Cayman Islands and support the community through your work, then we want to hear from you. So we've had quite a few really interesting degrees come through, and I just love looking at the applications and seeing what people are interested in.
What would some of those interesting degrees be that you've awarded?
We have someone
study?
right now in flight school. We
Nice.
have someone doing organizational psychology. So she's got a bit of an HR, organizational behavioral focus, which is really interesting. We've got somebody who's doing urban planning and architecture.
We could use more of that in Cayman as well.
Right.
I like that. Yes.
And studying in Singapore. So he's in a sort of a similar environment to Cayman.
In a pretty amazing one, actually, for urban
Yeah. So I can't wait to see what he comes back and does. And just fantastic conversation at interview with these people, because they're so passionate and so interested in these fields. And that's what we're really looking to see. So
Okay, I like that. What's the eligibility criteria for the non-legal scholarship programs?
So you need to be accepted to a university, a recognized university. So that's one of the pieces of evidence that we would ask you to provide in your application. So we'd want to see that acceptance. The age cutoff is 30. So normally we would want you to be 30 years old or under for the scholarship. And that is because we are also offering scholarships for graduate programs as well. So it's not just undergraduate, but also graduate. We do see people that kind of have had a first degree and are going back for their second, or they've done a first degree and they're in a career and they want to expand that. So going back for an advanced degree. So the other things that you would need to provide are obviously evidence of your grades. We're looking for a high achiever, so we would want to see some pretty impressive grades, either at high school, A-levels, college, wherever you are at the moment of application. And then you must be Caymanian to apply as well.
Okay. Now, when you say that you do offer opportunities for advanced degrees, is that just for employees now, or would that be open to anybody?
That's open to everybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is news to me, so I'm glad to hear about this, because I often talk to people that do want to return back, figure out a different career, or advance their degree. So I'm going to point them to the way of
Come on
Maples.
down.
The application process, I know that can be pretty daunting for some people, and it's a very important step as well in acquiring a scholarship. So can you tell us what the application process is like for the non-legal scholarships?
Of course, yeah. So new this year, we're having an online application form. So we haven't had that in the past, and we're hoping that just makes things easier for everybody. But what you'll do is first complete an online application form, and that's just your basic information. Who are you? What are you going to be studying? A little personal statement. So there will be a space in that online application form to write a personal statement. And then you'll provide the usual sort of scholarship documents, like your grade reports. If you already have a diploma, a copy of that, your Caymanian status, those types of things. So that's sort of the first step, is just getting the application in.
Okay.
And the deadline for that is the 30th of April. So the end of the day on the 30th of April, you'd want to have that application in. And then we go to a couple of other steps after that. So you'd be asked to do an online interview. So this is a really fun opportunity to kind of record yourself answering some questions. So it's not in person. It's not sort of a one-to-one.
Why online?
So it just is, I think it's a combination of, it's sort of easier, and also it's a format that people are actually quite used to now. Sort of we're in this social media age. People are kind of used to making their reels and that type of thing. So make your Maples reel, I suppose. But it'll ask you questions and you just get to answer them on camera. Again, it kind of gives us an opportunity to see people talking about what they're interested in. And it just brings it to life a lot more than on paper. And it gives you the opportunity to kind of show us your personality as well before we get into an in-person interview, which comes later on. So it just is, I would see it as an opportunity to kind of show us your personality a little more. We get many applications, usually over 100 applications, and that's a lot to go through. So it's just helpful to have that video format.
So I'm assuming out of the 100 applications you get, not 100 people are interviewed
No,
on video, right?
we have
So
to
what does it
whittle
take
it
to make
down.
that cut?
Yeah, so we only give 5 scholarships, non-legal scholarships per
Okay.
year. So we're looking for someone with the passion for their area of interest, high intelligence, high grades. We want to be pretty sure that you want to come back to Cayman and contribute to the community somehow. We're also looking for somebody whose values align with ours. So the personal statement gives you the opportunity to kind of talk about your personal values. When we interview, we talk about Maple's values and we see kind of how we align in that way.
That's a
so
good
it's a
hint.
combination. Yeah.
What's
It's a pro tip for you all.
Yeah, very much so. When people go online, where do they go online? How do they submit their application?
So if you go to maples.com/careers, you're going to see a section for scholarships there, and you click through to that, and that's going to give you both some guidance notes on how to complete the application, and then it will also give you the link to the online application form.
Okay. All right. We got to go to our first commercial break, and then we'll be right back with Anjali Matu and Brittany Cousins from Maples Group as we continue discussing the Non-Legal Scholarship and Internship program at Maples.
The 17th annual Bill Rudy Rotary Central Science Fair coming soon, Saturday, April 13th at the Arc, Kamana Bay. Plan for it, shape up your projects now. Open to students across all schools in Cayman. Bring the children, bring the family, help inspire the next generation scientist. The Bill Rudy Rotary Central Science Fair, an intersection of young people in science. Rotary Central, creating hope in the world.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Marcia Emily Bodden Bush, MBE, Certificate of Honor, 1933-1997. Marcia Bodden Bush was a teacher, librarian, registrar of births and deaths for Georgetown. She was the first woman chief accountant, first woman collector of customs, and a founding member of the Currency Board. She served her country as a civil servant for 35 years, receiving the MBE for her service in 1985, as well as a Certificate of Honor for her contribution to education. She was among the first graduates of the Cayman Islands High School, receiving the Senior Cambridge Certificate in 1952. She later returned to the high school as a mathematics teacher, while also serving as librarian at the public library. Apart from her civic accomplishments, she was a talented artist and writer, and was proud to be the granddaughter of Leela E. Ross Shear, composer of the Cayman Islands National Song.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
The Rotary Central Spring Storytime, Saturday, April 6th at West Bay Public Library, 10 a.m. through noon. A free storytelling children's event featuring Eric Magician, Sing-Along, Miss Izzy. Exciting art and craft, prizes, refreshments, goodie bags. The Rotary Central Spring Storytime, Saturday, April 6th at West Bay Public Library. Children must be accompanied by adults. Rotary, creating hope in the world.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future,
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance,
or protecting your family's household investment.
from our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise
at Cayman Insurance Center. Call today.
Hey everyone, this is Chad Paul Jr., your 2023 Male CARICOM Youth Ambassador. Do you want the opportunity to help shape the future of youth and sports in the Cayman Islands? All you have to do is complete the National Youth and Sports Survey found at gov.ky/YSP. This is your chance to have a lasting impact on our community. Have your say today, Cayman, at gov.ky/YSP.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm Kathy Miller. I'm your new host for the Business Buzz, and I'm joined in studio this morning by Anjali Matu and Brittany Cousins from Maples Group in Cayman. We were discussing the Non-Legal Scholarship, and we're about to discuss the internship program at Maples. We have a few more points to wrap up about the Non-Legal Scholarship, right? And I think when we were at that commercial break, we said these are the kind of points that we want to hit next, and one of them was funding. So I just want to remind people, if you were listening to the very beginning segment, if you want to apply for a scholarship, you go to maples.com
/careers.
Okay, /careers. You'll see where the application form is. You only have until April 30th, right? So there's a little bit of a window of time to get it in there. And the big hint was, make sure you understand what Maples' values are. So you'll see that information on the website, and that should help you in crafting your personal statement, right?
Connect to those values.
Yes. All right. That'll help your statement stand out a little bit more, your application. So the financial assistance with the Non-Legal Scholarship. How much does Maples offer? I know it's 5 scholarships a year like this that you give. So how much does this provide students?
So we'll provide up to $15,000 per year for successful applicants. So that means each year you can claim up to $15,000. So that goes towards tuition, accommodation, and or books. So if you need help with any of those areas, that's what the scholarship's meant to cover. Something that people ask often is, well, if I have another scholarship, do I need to give that up in order to have the Maples Scholarship? And the answer is no. So you can have the Maples Scholarship and another scholarship at the same time. And of course, the $15,000 in this economic climate, it's hard to find. I mean, you need a lot of money to go away to school, which is why scholarship programs exist. And so our scholarship is really meant to supplement other scholarships as well. So we see a lot of people come through on government scholarship and just needing a little bit more funding, and that's what our scholarship provides.
Okay, excellent. When do you let students know that you have been selected, you're one of our recipients for the scholarship?
Yeah, so that will happen in May.
Oh,
so
great.
End of April is when you're due to put your application in, and then we'll move quite quickly through the process and hope to have announcements out at the end of May.
Okay, that's excellent, because I know differently with government, it could be late August, and I know the students it's a lot of anxiety for the students not knowing.
It's a big burden for people.
Huge. So very happy to know that it comes a lot sooner with Maples. So it helps them at least get their feet a little bit wet, planted. They know what's going to happen in the first few months of school. So that's good to know. Now we're going to talk about the internship program as well at Maples. And you were saying that's one of your favorite programs as well.
It is. It's so fun to run because it's such an interesting sort of varied program that we do. I guess I can talk a little bit about the structure of the program and what it's like. And I'll just start off by saying applications are open now for the summer internship, and they close on the 30th of April as well. So same date for both of these programs. So our internship program is a 4-week internship. So you need to be able to commit to a full 4 weeks. We can extend longer if you're interested in that, and if you're, the department that you're in is able to kind of host you for longer. But it's a minimum of 4 weeks. And the reason for that is because it's a very structured, varied program, and we want to make sure that you get to experience everything that we have to offer in the 4 weeks. So what happens is you do your application, which is similar to what we just discussed with the non-legal scholarship. The difference is that, of course, you're not having to prove to us that you're going away to school, but you still would need to provide sort of your Caymanian status documents, your grades. We'd like to see sort of how you're doing in school. and then what your areas of interest are. So you have an opportunity to highlight, okay, I'm interested in these 5 areas, and they can be totally different. So we don't expect people who are sort of in their last year of high school or second last year of high school to know exactly what they want to do. I mean, I still don't really know what I want to do with my career, and I'm, 20 years in or something like that. So you can change your mind. Yeah. But the point
it's normal to do that, actually, to change your career.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier, internships are important because it gives you the opportunity to experience a range of things, right? A range of careers. And so you identify what you are interested in, put that in your application, and then we go through a matching process to try to put you in a department or in a practice group on the legal side that would be sort of matching those interests. Then you come in and you get to do all sorts of fun things. So of course you have the sort of on the job, sitting with someone, doing the sort of job shadowing and work tasks and all of those normal internship things. But then we also have monthly social events. We have the opportunity to be paired with one or more mentors. We do work around Maple's values and personal values, and how do we make those things match? So important. And when you become a professional and you're trying to get up out of bed and go to work every day, I mean, this is real, right? Like, yes. It's you get up out of bed and you have to be able to feel motivated to go to that job. And if it doesn't match with your values, it's hard, And so we talk about, what are Maple's values? What's the culture? How do I integrate into this? Is this for me? To your point earlier. Group projects, field trips, all kinds of interesting things.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
The big question being, for me, is it a paid internship?
Yes, it is.
Okay, excellent.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I don't believe in working for free, so that's it's an important question to ask there. And Brittany, I know that you said you had applied through Cayman Finance for an internship.
Right.
But you were paired with a mentor from Maples.
Right.
So were you interning at Maples, or were you interning at Cayman Finance? Like, was that,
so
what was that?
With
How
the
did that correlate?
Cayman Finance, their work experience, I'm not sure. I think they renamed it LEAD or something for those who may be listening and might be interested. Yeah, so basically they'll pair you with a mentor, and this is what I understand the program to be at the time when I, was there. It might have changed. And for the first month, you would attend various workshops. They would introduce you to, various sectors within the financial industry on island. And you'd also be paired with a mentor, and that mentor would help go over the various things you learned in the workshop and actually speak to you, like a friend, guiding you through maybe various questions you may have on your interested career or questions within the financial industry. Within the second half of the program, you'd then apply to various firms on island, and you'd be placed somewhere. So my mentor was from Maples, but I got placed in at a different firm.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So that's a different process from.
That's a different
if
process.
You want to directly go with Maples. Okay. Gotcha,
so interestingly, though, I will mention that we are partnered with Cayman Finance. We have been in the past and this year again doing that, so that people that are in the LEAD program who are interested in law may end up being placed at Maples. So they could end up in our internship program and kind of getting the best of both worlds.
So apply for both. That'll up your chances, right?
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Is there ever a time that you seek out interns?
Yeah, we do. So if we see people sort of in the community who are obviously doing very well, sure, we'll reach out and say, hey, we think our program would be really good for you. Why don't you apply? Would you like to come and experience what it's like to be a lawyer? Even, people like Brittany who maybe don't realize that they have a career aspiration to be a lawyer. If we see that in them, we might say, hey, apply and just try it out, just come and see what it's like. But of course, we don't only have lawyers at Maples. We also have a variety of other careers. So we have an IT department. We've got marketing. We've got HR. We've got corporate services. We've got a whole range of different types of careers you could have. So our interns are interested in all of those fields.
Okay, nice. I like that. I'd feel pretty honored if somebody went and sought me out. Hey, we'd like you to intern here. That would make me feel, as a young person, I would be like, oh, all right. Yeah. It gives you a boost towards what you're trying to do, and not just motivation to keep going.
Confidence.
How can an intern's application stand out? What are you really looking for in there?
Yeah, I think we are looking for someone who is of an open mind, who is a hard worker, who wants to learn not only what we do at the firm, but also how they can become a good professional, which means, it means different things to different people, but someone that is really eager to learn about how to better themselves and how to improve their business skills in, any field really.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, excellent. After internship happens, what's next? Is there a job opportunity for them? Most of the time people are going to school. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're still here, right? Here going to school, here working.
Yeah. There could be a job opportunity. So again, I think that's one of the benefits of doing an internship is making those contacts and showing people what you can do. We've certainly had opportunities where people have come in and they've been so good that, departments are like, we can't let them go back. They need to stay with us. And so that does happen from time to time. Obviously, there's no guarantee there, but even if you, do your internship and really impress people, and then you're going away to school, say, or you're already in another commitment and you have to leave, that stays with people. It'll stay with your managers, it'll stay with us in HR, and we'll remember you. And then maybe you make an application later on.
Okay.
And you get a job on the basis of how well you did in your internship. So there are opportunities there, but I think the key is to really make sure that you're giving it your all and impressing the people that you're working with.
Excellent. Always. We should always do that, right? You got maybe, I know Susan's going to say you don't really have time, Kathy, but you got maybe about 15 seconds just to give any last information. We got to remind people where to apply for the Non-Legal Scholarship and Internship Program. Closing date April 30th, right?
Yeah. So maples.com/careers. Go there. You'll see links for our scholarship program, internships, even the trainee program for those that are kind of further along and want to do their lawyer training. All of that information is there at maples.com/careers. You can also email us at early.careers@maples.com. That's our sort of general early careers inbox, and we can answer any questions. So trouble with applications, general questions, what's it like to work at Maples? Send all of those our way.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us this morning. And congrats to you, Brittany, because you're almost done articling, and I'm excited for what the future holds for you.
Thank
And
you.
we've got to go to I believe, a time check and then the 8 a.m. news.
Thank you, Kathy. And studio time now is a minute after 8.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm April Cummings. The deadline is coming up for the National Youth and Sports Survey, which will provide input as the ministry works to update policy.
This is extremely important for the ministry and for the country on a whole. The ministry inherited policies that unfortunately had expired, and this was one of the areas that we truly wanted to give attention to, ensuring that we had updated information and ensuring that the voice of our young people are heard.
Chief Officer in the ministry, Teresa Echeniki, tells CIGTV this is a key aspect of ensuring that the services being provided meet the needs of today's youth. The survey is also looking at sports.
It's not only looking at obtaining information and updating the policy for our youth, but it's also looking at things from a sports perspective and the importance of that, ensuring our athletes' voices are heard, associations are heard, but we're looking at sports from a general perspective as well, where we want to ensure that health and wellness is definitely taken into consideration. And once again, all of these benefit our country on a whole.
There are a couple of upcoming public meetings, but you can provide feedback online now at gov.ky/YSP. The deadline is Monday, April 8th. When the National Conservation Council meets tomorrow, the agenda includes updates on climate, Environmental Assessment Board reports on airport projects on all three islands, the Integrated Solid Waste Management or REGEN project, as well as the East-West Arterial project and the Port Zeus and Croc Quarry. The meeting will be carried live on the Cayman Islands Government and Department of Environment Facebook and YouTube channels. It's scheduled to begin at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. The University College of the Cayman Islands School of Nursing will officially be renamed the Ruth Eleanor McLaughlin School of Nursing to honor the legacy of Nurse Ruth Eleanor McLaughlin, MBE, affectionately known as Matron. The ceremony on Thursday evening celebrates 10 years of the nursing school's operation while paying tribute to Matron McLaughlin's decades of dedication to nursing education and healthcare in the islands. Among the special guest speakers, the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Conley, Premier and Minister for Finance, Education, District Administration, Lands and Cabinet Office, the Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister for Health and Wellness and Home Affairs, Mrs. Hyacinth Rose, Certificate of Honor, and Ms. Lucille Seymour, BEM, MBE. That is your latest local news. I'm April Cummings. Now to the BBC for stories making headlines around the world.
BBC News with Emily Thomas. Israel has promised to conduct what it called a thorough review into the deaths of 7 aid workers in Gaza. The organisation they worked for, World Central Kitchen, has said they were killed in a targeted Israeli airstrike and has suspended its operations in the territory. Iran says it will retaliate for the attack on its consulate in Damascus. It gave no details, but said the US must also take responsibility for the suspected Israeli airstrike which killed senior Iranian commanders. Reports speak of cross-border fire at several locations along the frontiers between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The two countries, currently engaged in peace talks over the long-running Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, have blamed each other for the latest incidents. Trading in the shares of the troubled Chinese property giant Country Garden has been suspended in Hong Kong. The company has defaulted on its overseas debt. Bassirou Diomaye Faye is being sworn in as Senegal's new and youngest ever president. Many see his election as a symbol of hope in the West African nation. Ukraine says it's carried out a series of drone strikes in Tatarstan, deep inside Russia. The targets include a factory producing drones used in Russian attacks. One child has been killed in a school shooting in Finland. 2 others were seriously injured. The victims and the suspected shooter are 12 years old. A Chinese man has been sentenced to 13 months' imprisonment in connection with the biggest money laundering case in the history of Singapore. Assets worth more than $2 billion have been seized. One of the most influential black French authors, Maryse Condé, has died at the age of 90. Born in the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe, her work focused on colonialism, slavery and sexuality, and locating one's identity in their intersections. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
Hey there, Cayman. Have a few minutes to spare? Your Ministry for Housing has just launched the public survey for the Cayman Islands Housing Policy and Strategic Plan. We are all about making our island home even better. We need your help. It's your thoughts and ideas that will shape our housing policies for the future. Your voice matters, and it's easy to get involved. Just visit cihousingplan.org and let your voice be heard. Plus, you could catch some cool gift cards just for sharing your ideas. Don't miss out. Open through April 16th. Head to cihousingplan.org or go to the ministry's Facebook, Instagram, X, or LinkedIn now and be a part of the conversation. Your input matters more than you know. Let's make Cayman's housing future brighter. Together, your voice, your future. Take the survey today.
The 8 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 82 degrees. Relative humidity is 79%. The barometric pressure is 29.97 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 79 degrees. Synopsis indicate a high-pressure system over the western Atlantic Ocean will continue to support moderate southeasterly winds and seas across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours. Satellite images show scattered low-level clouds mainly south of the Cayman area. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of morning showers, and temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 20% chance of late-night showers, and temperatures falling to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be southeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Low tide will be this morning at 11:30, high tide this afternoon at 4:23, and a low tide again tonight at 10:52. The sun will set this evening at 6:38 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:18. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Thursday, by which time light to moderate southerly winds along with slight seas can be expected in a response to a cold front moving over the Yucatan Channel. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic on the West Bay Road. In front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. Coming from the West Bay four-way stop, flowing pretty good. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive. To the east on Shamrock Road, traffic is steady but flowing. On the Linford Pearson Highway, Crew Road heading to Georgetown, traffic is steady but flowing, and steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, as well as off of Agnes Way. As we turn our eyes to downtown Georgetown on Edward Street, traffic is moving on moderately. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, free-flowing traffic. Coming off of the Estelle Tibbetts Highway, steady but flowing traffic. Now, if you've seen accidents or incidents, please give us a call here at Radio Cayman 949-6990. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Business Buzz. Good afternoon, or good morning. Geez, look at me. Good morning. I'm so used to talk today, right? This is Kathy Miller. I'm your new host for the Business Buzz. I generally have filled in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks on Talk Today, hence my good afternoon. But it is the morning. I am powered by coffee, only on my first one so far this morning. And in this segment of the Business Buzz, I'd like to welcome Dr. Chris Wedderburn. He's a general practitioner at HSA. Somewhere where I've been often in urgent care, right, Dr. Wedderburn?
Yes, thank you. And thank
Good
you
morning.
for your introduction. Thank you. Thank
No
you.
problem. I haven't ran into you yet at urgent care. Hopefully I don't in any time in the near future. But I'm going to bring the mic just a little bit closer to you because I think you're a little low there on the mic. All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
Thank you. And in this segment of the Business Buzz, we are discussing. You're also a member of the Kiwanis Club of Cayman,
Yes, I
correct?
am.
So you're also here on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Cayman. And we're discussing World Autism Month because April is World Autism Month. And today in particular is World Autism Day.
It is.
So we're going to be discussing that. We're going to hear a little bit about what autism is, how Kiwanis Club is involved in I guess I want to say promoting awareness of autism, and just get into the nitty-gritty details of autism in the Cayman Islands. So let's just start off with today being World Autism Day. Let's first explain what autism is and how it is diagnosed.
Right. So autism, some of us might know what autism is, some might not. So generally autism is a developmental disorder that appears in different forms and varying levels of severity. It is formally diagnostic term is autism spectrum disorder. So spectrum is variety, right? So it could be one end from more severe, right, to very mild. So autism is observable in early childhood and persists through the lifespan of the person. It's characterized by atypical communication, language development, and eye contact, and sensory experiences. In this condition, it is related to the brain and how it impacts the person to perceive, socialize with others, causing problems in intersocial interaction and communication. And the disorder also includes limited and repetitive pattern of behavior. Right, so in a nutshell, that is what autism is. So it can be very challenging, right, because parents have an autistic child, right, may have difficulty growing this child and nurturing this child.
Right, especially if you don't know what to do.
Yes.
It's an unfamiliar thing.
So some of the characteristics are associated with autism. It's communication challenges, social interactions, right? As I said before, repetitive behaviors. One most important factor is sensory sensitivities. So these patients or these children might have heightened or reduced sensitivity to sensory stimuli such as light, sound, textures, and smells. So while we might be sitting down thinking the room is quiet, they're hearing something loud and then they're reacting to it and wonder what's going on there. But it's their difference in their sensitivity that makes them who they are. Right?
Okay, interesting.
Right. And I think you asked, how is the person diagnosed?
Yes.
Right. So it is a multiple disciplinary approach, right, by healthcare professionals such as psychologists, developmental pediatricians, psychiatrists, and it involves input from the parent and caregiver, right? So they're the first one to see something different about this child. Then we have to observe the child and do some behavioral assessment and do some developmental and medical screenings. So
now, when you say behave, like what would be that first step from the parent? Would they go to the hospital and say, I think something's...
Yeah, so most likely you have your regular pediatrician visits. You might say to your pediatrician, I don't think my child is behaving the right way, right? Because we have something called developmental milestones.
Okay.
There are certain targets we have to meet. We say our first word, we creep, we run, we play with a ball, certain things like that. Interaction with other children. So if you're not meeting that those milestones, then we might say, okay, is there something going on there? So we can get assessment.
Okay.
And it's very important that we assess the child early, because if the child is assessed early, then it gives them a better chance of living a normal life.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The Kiwanis Club, because you are on behalf of the Kiwanis
Yes.
Club. What is the Kiwanis Club's involvement with autism locally?
Well, Kiwanis, generally, our aim is for the well-being of children. That is our main aim, children on a broad sense. So we're involved in children in all aspects. We have in the schools, we have Key Club, right? Builders Club, K Club for the little ones. So autism now, we're involved with Lighthouse School. As you know, that's a special school for our challenged children. We were involved in there's a special sensory garden. We did painting, different activities in the gardens, like paint different colors, different activities, so the children can have a good time and learn about their bodies and how they can interact with each other. We also did a sensory wall, right, in the school itself, with various other activities, and we have fundraising projects to help assist these students, because medical health care for autism or any mental challenges can be very expensive. So every year we have a fundraiser to go to them.
Okay, to help them with their development and whatever tools they might need to.
Right. And then today being World Autism Day and the month, we are embarked in a fundraiser. I can look at my notes here. So we will be selling some special ribbons, multicolored ribbons in aid of autism. Right, so these ribbons will be sold at Foster's Airport and Commander Bay. Right, here it is. So in aid of April being Autism Awareness Month, we'll be selling these ribbons at $5 a piece at Foster's Airport on the 12th of April and Commander Bay Foster's on the 27th of April. Right, so you want everyone to come out in the numbers and buy these ribbons, because all the funds will be going towards autism and mentally challenged children, especially the ones at Lighthouse School. As I said before, it is very expensive. Apart from what they receive at school, the parents have to find money to do other therapies for them, so it can be very expensive for the parents. All right?
Right.
And then also, we'll be having something called Light Up Commander Bay between April 11th and 30th. We'll have some special colors at Commander Bay.
Right, I think I've seen that.
Right, for autism awareness, so people be more aware. They ask questions, what's that about? And then we will tell them it's about autism.
Right.
And then with buying your special ribbon, we'll ask you to upload pictures of yourself wearing the ribbon or some creative gesture to our email at info@kiwanis.ky on April the 30th. So wear your ribbons, do something creative, and then we can all share these special pictures with everybody afterwards.
Okay, all right. Now, coming to autism and thinking about the Cayman Islands, do you know, well, let me start with this. According to the World Health Organization, these stats were given in November 2023, that 1 in 100 children around the world have autism. In 2023, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the USA cited that 1 in 36 children have autism, compared to two years prior to that, 2021, where it was 1 in 44. And the rates of autism is increasing, perhaps due to more people testing for it or, being diagnosed for it, going in and asking the questions. But back in the year 2000, it was 1 in 50 children having autism. 24 years later, it's now 1 in 36 in the USA. That's a staggering and a pretty startling number.
Yes.
Are you aware of any research to support reasons why the rate of autism could be increasing?
Well, as I said before, we have no local stats on the rate of autism here, but because we are being more aware of autism and diagnosing this disorder, right? So patients who were like lost in the wind and misdiagnosed years gone by are now being diagnosed with autism, and we are better able to help them. So I think more awareness and diagnosis has made the rate of autism increase, because I don't think that autism has really increased over the years, but it's just us being more aware why the numbers have gone up.
Okay. We did say there are no national statistics on data on the rates of autism specific to Cayman. Do you have any, estimate for yourself? You work at HSA, so I don't know if you can say or even want to throw out a number like that. But
working in a GP department, just general, I can't really tell you. Right, we do see autistic kids, maybe not really for autism, but for any other ailment, and we just have to understand that they're autistic, and everybody who is autistic has other ailments as anybody else. So we can't blanket that whatever illness they're coming in as autistic illness. No, we have to see them as a normal, regular individual, they have normal, regular illnesses. But in terms of stats and data, no, I can't tell you off the top of my head what that is.
Over the weekend, I did read an interview from CaymanHealth.com, and it was Dr. Shannon Seymour, who's a psychologist and the director of the Wellness Center. And she said, quote, "We don't have a diagnostic register of autism, so there is no known prevalence. Within the community of specialists, there is a sense that we have a prevalence rate of at least consistent with global estimates of 1 in 59 children." So, I guess in summary to that it might be 1 in 59 children in the Cayman Islands. But as we said, there is no actual register in that sense to know exactly how many children or people in the Cayman Islands do have autism.
Right, and in research also we can see that autism affects more boys than girls.
Right.
They're more like or 5-to-1 ratio or thereabout.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. Maybe, let's say male brains are different from female brains. It could be a factor. We don't know, because we really haven't delved deep into the real cause and pathophysiology of autism.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
There's a lot of unknown surrounding autism still. Interestingly enough, I also saw in my research a 2010 government press release that was in the Cayman News Service. And that press release said that there was no national statistics on autism, but that steps were being done to gather the data. That was 2010. Fast forward now, 14 years later, and we still don't have this data. Right. So it's wild to me. Sometimes I think it's lip service, but I really do hope that steps are being taken to collect this data and better understand it in Cayman. What steps do you think can be taken to gather the data on the rates of autism in Cayman?
Just looking at other countries, I've seen where governments have had incentives to parents in collecting data in terms of, they're applying for a loan for a home, they have lower interest rates, or they have grants for parents who have an autistic child, right? And in that way, they can more collect data. So if the government puts in incentives, parents will be more willing to come forward, because sometimes when parents have an autistic child, they hide it and say, well, I don't want to label my child autistic because public misconception. People sometimes they don't understand what autism is, and they might just think they are just good for nothing or whatever. But we must know we have brilliant children, right? Who are autistic. We have, as I say, it's a spectrum. Brilliant they might even say they're gifted.
Right. I've heard that plenty of times, especially in the sense of art and music.
Yes. So a lot of autistic children gravitate to the performing arts, playing musical instruments, singing, right, speeches and stuff like that. I just said that there's a show on TV what I like to watch, The Good Doctor.
Okay.
About this autistic doctor, and he's very brilliant, and he can memorize the anatomy in his head and go through the pathways, and that helps him to treat his patients, right? And people like this, we can see in society. One might say that maybe all high-functioning persons have a bit of autism.
I've heard this.
Yeah.
There's somewhere on the spectrum, yes, I've heard this, yes. When it comes to high functioning, especially, which is interesting. We got to take a commercial break, but we're going to come back and explore that idea a little bit more.
The new KFC nuggets have arrived. That unlike the no-gets, ours are handmade using 100% white meat, unlike the no-gets. At KFC, we hand-bread every day to achieve the perfect flavor. After you try our delicious and crispy nuggets in the original recipe, you'll never settle for less. KFC, the real nuggets. It's finger-licking good.
Well, Doc, I'm getting old. I'm out of shape, always on edge and off balance.
And how does it make you feel?
I guess it makes me feel like I should live better.
Here's my suggestion.
Are you saying I'm a blank piece of paper?
Turn it over.
Live well? Is this code?
No. Live Well from Foster's and CG Britk. A great resource on staying healthy, decluttering your mind, and managing stress.
Really? And it's free?
Really. LiveWell.Fosters.ky won't cost you a cent. This session, however, live well with Foster's and CG Britk.
In life, the more you have to lose.
The more you love, the more you worry.
The more people rely on you, the more you have on your mind.
I have peace of mind,
knowing that whoever I care about
is protected by the very best.
With Sagicor Life of the Cayman Islands, you'll have critical illness coverage and life insurance to help you protect what matters most. Call 949-8211 for more information.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Business Buzz.
Good morning. See, I didn't say good afternoon this time. Good morning. I'm also not used to the intro music there. So, welcome back to the Business Buzz. This is Kathy Miller. I'm your new host for the Business Buzz, and joining me in studio this morning is Dr. Wedderburn. He is also a member of the Kiwanis Club of Cayman Islands, and we are talking about autism. Now, Dr. Wedderburn, before the commercial break, when we mentioned there's no national stats, and we don't really know how many children and people in the Cayman Islands have autism, you did mention that some parents are, I think it was the word embarrassed that you used, embarrassed to recognize that there might be something wrong, or I don't even want to say wrong is the wrong word to use right there, but something might not be developing in a normal state.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily want to address it. They're embarrassed to deal with it. Do you think that's a cultural thing, or, what makes that parent kind of want to put that aside and not want to deal with it?
It is a cultural thing. there's always some stigma attached to mental illness, right? And we need to get away from that because it's more damaging than anything.
Yeah.
Because if we identify whatever illness it is, we can attack it early and you can have a better outcome. So like autism, we might see a child in the supermarket and they're just throwing a tantrum, screaming and doing something strange, right? But we need to be aware that this is because they have altered sensation. There's something might have dropped and it hurts their ears, or they see a color and it's too loud and they have just a sensory influx. And so once the society is aware of this, then we will be more understanding and say we'll be more compassionate towards the parents, the caregivers, and the children. And we can maybe make our environment more autistic friendly.
Yeah.
Right.
How do we do that?
Right.
What does that involve?
In my research, I was reading about something called a safe space.
Okay.
Yes. So a safe space, to understand, is a sensory room, another word for it, is a place where autistic persons can go to calm down. So they're having too much influx of sensation, like from light, sound, whatever. They can go. The caregiver can take them into this room where they have different activities to do, like a bouncy ball. We have the ropes, so they can, the exercise ropes. They can move up and down to exert more energy. A punching bag, a sensory wall, something. They have these rooms available. I'm not sure if they have it here in Cayman. I asked the last time, but in the States they do, right?
Would this be in schools or
in schools? Definitely in schools.
Okay.
So they have certain times when they take them there to like reset them,
okay,
right, and calm them down. And in studies, they have shown that even normal kids, they benefit from going into these sensory rooms also.
I think I would, for sure.
And also, I think that even in crowded places like airports or
supermarkets or shopping
should have
centers,
a special room. So when somebody with these challenges are getting too much influx of sensation, they can go in the room and calm down.
I think that's a great idea. Some people insensitive to this would say, well, don't bring your child to a supermarket, don't bring your child to a restaurant, don't bring them out to these public places where there's going to be a lot of other people. And to me, that's just very wrong, because how could you say don't let them experience life? How do they ever get better if you don't let them experience life?
So there's a term
and learn how to cope with it.
A term called inclusivity.
Yes.
Right. So that is where the autistic child will benefit from being around a normal, we call neurotypical child, right? Because it gives them they can pattern somebody who is normal, so they can know what's normal behavior, how to relate to people, interactions, communication.
Right.
So it's very important that we don't lock them up. We don't, because autism in itself is like you're in a box, because sometimes you want to say something and you don't know how to say it. You want to talk to somebody and you don't know how to do it. So they're frustrated. But having them explore environments, going, I said, to supermarket, to different areas, then they can more be able to integrate into normal society.
Right. I think that's important, and it's we do have to learn, as you say, to have a more inclusive society, and to not just be aware but be accepting of the different behaviors and conditions that people might have, and how we can help them adjust. I do have a couple friends who have children who are autistic in different levels, as you've explained. And one of them has a child who's so severe in his autism. And this parent does the best that she can in trying to introduce her child to the world. I think he's about 7 or 8 years old. So I'm not sure when he was diagnosed, but she does the best that she can in bringing him to different sports events, different outings, or a restaurant. And her thing is, I not only want him to understand and get used to it, this is the world he's going to be living in, but also people around, to, instead of giving a side eye and being, like, why are you here, or your child is making a ruckus, instead of that, to be more accepting and perhaps also learn how we as a society can help them deal with that. So it could be different tools that you have. As you said, that sensory room in certain public places would be a great thing, I think. Is there any tools that you're aware of that parents can have to help their children communicate when they are out there in the world like that, having to interact with people?
Right. So I come across certain tools, like the use of the iPad. If the autistic child is not verbal, they can touch a picture.
Yes.
To identify what they want, right? Or they have some cue cards, right? Or they have different modalities of communicating. Because some autistic children are verbal, and some are non-verbal. So we have to accommodate them in all aspects. So the iPad and the cue card is very important.
Okay. That's at least a couple tools right there that are useful.
Yes.
And as well, if you have a business or, you have something of a public space, public nature, then maybe it's something that they can consider incorporating into their business to help people communicate. All right, now we jumped around a little there. So let's turn it back to talk about some of the signs and symptoms of autism. Can you describe to us what some of the common signs or symptoms of autism would be? And I know you also mentioned earlier that somebody can be a really high-functioning adult, for example, and be diagnosed with autism, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit as well with that?
All right, so common signs in autism include delayed or impaired language, communication and social skills. We have repetitive behavior, such as spinning, have them rocking, repeating phrases and words over and over. And they could be relying on rules and routines. So these persons, they have a set routine, and they have it in a certain pattern. If you break that pattern, they go berserk, right? So that's a common sign.
So I want to say in adults that wouldn't be an OCD thing.
Well, yeah, it could be, because as I said before, we could even class ourselves as having a bit of autism.
Okay.
Right? Being OCD is very important, like even in my profession, right? I see a lot of my colleagues are OCD, and that is positive in terms of managing and becoming a good doctor. We have to have a bit of OCD.
Okay. And I like your spin on that. That was good.
Yes.
Yes.
And we also have unusual, intense interactions to sensory stimuli, such as light, sound, taste, smells, and textures. I've interacted with patients who the parents or caregivers have said they don't want anything soft, or they don't want anything different kinds of textures food, or they want a specific kind of food every day, right? And that can be problematic because it might impact on their nutrition.
Right.
They might lack certain vitamins and deficiencies. So that is very important. That if you see this, you're probably autistic. They have difficulty understanding and expressing emotions, right? So they want to show that they're happy, and they just start to scream, right? Or they just cry for no reason. That could be a cue. And they could also be upset because of minor changes or routine environment. We find autistic children most times like a tidy room, or if you take one thing out of place, they react. So if they go in a room and it's all haphazard, they might shun away from that room.
Okay.
Yeah, so tidy environment, clean environment, everything put in the right order. If they see that they're more gravitated to that, think about that also.
Interesting.
Autism.
Because there's, some of the things you said, like food, for example, we know that, especially with children. So I think there's a certain age where autism is mostly diagnosed, and I don't know if it's between 3 to 5 or 3 to 7, but it's more in the younger. So how do you know if your child is just saying, no, I do not want to eat Brussels sprouts, which was me. Like I would stuff them under the table. There's certain foods that I absolutely did not gravitate to. I refused to eat. How do we know it's not just that, and them learning how to develop their own taste for things as
hard.
opposed to...
As I say, it's hard. It's hard to know exactly what to diagnose autism. So, but it takes very intense interactions with the child, with all the specialists. So, just not wanting broccoli or carrots or whatever doesn't say they're autistic. So, it's a whole very intense investigation.
It could be a combination.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay, or it could it be one I guess smaller thing, because we did say there is different levels, right?
As I said, we're on they say the spectrum, so there are different levels. Right.
I think that's the hard thing to grasp is how do you know if something is serious enough that you need to go and see a pediatrician and perhaps some further care to help your child along. I think that's what people might be grappling with a little bit.
And in fact, all children, we need to be properly screened. You have your regular checks at your pediatrician, and the pediatricians know, so they look out for these things.
Okay.
So it's good. It's not good to miss the appointments. Go to your regular checks and get because there have been cases where if they detect it early, it's even reversible.
Oh,
right?
wow, okay.
Yes, I've heard of cases. Or if not reversible, they're better able to go out in environment and into the world and just be a functioning individual.
Yeah. Okay, so this is why it's important that if you are a parent and you know that your child likely has autism, they're showing some signs and symptoms, don't be embarrassed about it. Deal with it then and there as much as you can deal with it, because the sooner that we give them the tools to help communicate, the better it is. You might be denying them of proper nutrients, as you said that some kids will only gravitate towards certain foods or textures, and that could also hamper their development, right?
And there are cases, I've seen cases where parents are outright in denial, right?
What do you do in that situation?
Because I know cases where teachers on the whole, they have some basic knowledge of autism, so they too can pick it up.
Okay.
Right? So I know cases where maybe like a preschool, and the child is displaying features of autism or some irregularity.
Yeah.
And then the parent is made aware and they just ignore it. And which is not good. But if parents are more aware of autism and the stigma is erased, and then just to know that there is help and the child can become more functioning afterwards, it'd be better, because it's dangerous for a parent to just put it under the carpet. So what happens when the child's older? Then you cannot. It's harder to treat if you identify it early and treat it early. It's better for the child.
Right. All right. We got to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to return. There's so much more for us to cover in understanding what autism is and becoming more accepting and aware of it. But we've got to go to a commercial break, and then we will return with Dr. Wedderburn.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
The Rotary Central Spring Storytime, Saturday, April 6th at West Bay Public Library, 10 a.m. through noon. A free storytelling children's event featuring Eric the Magician, Sing Along, Miss Izzy. Exciting art and craft, prizes, refreshments, goodie bags. The Rotary Central Spring Storytime, Saturday, April 6th at West Bay Public Library. Children must be accompanied by adults. Rotary, creating hope in the world.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy, now with a second location in Governor's Square. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health. Business Boss.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. I'm Kathy Miller and I am discussing autism with Dr. Wedderburn. It is World Autism Day and April is World Autism Month. And as mentioned earlier, 1 in 100 children globally have autism. In the US, it is now 1 in 36. And possibly in Cayman, it might be, don't quote me on this because there's no actual data for Cayman, but coming from another psychologist that had talked about this earlier in the year, it could be 1 in 59 children in the Cayman Islands with autism. Now, before our break, Dr. Wedderburn, we were talking about kind of the stigma that maybe parents will have towards autism, that embarrassment, I don't want to deal with this, the outright denial that you had mentioned. I think it's really not knowing what to do a lot of the time and not having the tools or the resources to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So financially is learning to deal and treat an autistic child a big financial cost to a family.
Yes, the financial burden of the autistic child is great because we have to give them the right therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, right? And we're not getting that here in maybe in a public sector, right? So we might have to go to the private sector to get these modalities, which can be very costly. And I've spoken to parents. Some of them have gone as far as going abroad to get specialist therapies, right? And the demand for the treatment there abroad is vast. They don't even advertise to tell you how and the waiting list is long, and of course expensive. So there is a cost burden to bear for autistic child. So as the Kiwanis Club, we try our best to alleviate such costs by having drives, as I would say the ribbon drive, to donate funds to these parents, and we do it on a yearly basis. So there needs to be more input or more funding where this is concerned to treat and to provide therapy for children with autism.
Is it something in your knowledge that insurance helps to cover, health insurance, or?
I don't know of it. I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to. I have to ask some of my friends that in that sense for their children, how they deal with that. Because I can imagine that there is a lot of therapy, as you said, occupational therapy, speech therapy.
Yes.
And while there's HSA does provide that, but there's also the private.
Limited in a limited aspect, but most of these therapies are privately.
Okay. Which, as we know, it is more costly in that sense, for sure. Wow. So do you think there's systematic barriers that still need to be addressed then? I mean, I think quite obviously, yes, there is. Systematic barriers that need to be addressed to improve the inclusion of autistic individuals in the community and the therapies that are offered to them.
Yes, definitely. we need to have more therapy and lift the barriers so these patients can feel more inclusive, as that word is, inclusive into the community. I know of cases where sometimes children with autism, right, they might not want them in the regular classroom, right?
What do you mean? The teachers might not want them, or students?
The teachers and maybe the parents might not want them, right? But it's very important, as we spoke before, for them to pattern our regular children. So if we can have them come into our regular classroom and see how children interact with each other, right, will be very, very important.
And I guess that's why it's important to understand the level of, I want to say, severity of their autism, because if it's really high and they're really disruptive, I can understand a teacher saying, it's a constant disruption to the classroom, and it would be better if they were in an environment, maybe they were at a special needs school, for example, like Lighthouse. So I can understand that, but if it's not at such a severe level, most of the time that the child can cope, then it is a classroom, a regular, whether it's public or private high schools or elementary schools. I think that's where the inclusivity really needs to kick in that sense.
And then the awareness is also necessary, because you might have a student who has these outbursts now and then. They might just be autistic. And with modern medication, modern medication, they can calm their anxieties and allow them to perform in a more normal way in the classroom.
So medication is one of the...
Yeah, so medication is one of the treatments for autism, because of their sensory input, they have a lot of anxiety, right? So we have anti-anxiety medication.
Okay.
Because they go into an environment and they see a lot of people they're just afraid, right? And then just can't function. So once you calm them down, they can do their work and do the various activities.
Okay, interesting. How do you think, let's look at the schools right now. How do you think that they can be more, I want to say, inclusive? Could they encourage more talks, more understanding, whether it's more training within the teachers themselves to understand how they can be more inclusive towards children with autism? And the students, how do the students understand?
So that's a hard one. As I said, autism is on a spectrum, so they perform differently, right? So maybe the more high function ones can go into a normal school, and the ones on the lower end of the spectrum have to have lots of special care, right? Because sometimes normal bodily functions they can't manage.
Okay.
Right? So sorry. So the ones who are high function, once the teachers are aware of their disability, right? And they can help them along. But as I say, it's very difficult. So it's on a one-to-one base case that we can do this.
Oh, okay. That I think for the students too who might not be aware of what's going on, it's how do you introduce that? And I'm not asking you for the answers, and how do you introduce them to have a better understanding of what autism is and how to interact with children that have autism. So if we can start from the school age, having school children being aware of autism is be better, because they'll be more accepting of these children and in the wider society. Right.
Because there are barriers there. Because what about employment?
Right.
Right. So if they're more aware of their needs, then when they become older, they can be more included in society.
And I think it starts largely with the family. For the family accepting, I know you said some parents are in straight denial. Some are very extremely supportive of their children and doing what they can with what ability they have, what resources they have, and that's available to them to help their child, come along to develop a little better, a little more naturally. I think it really starts there, and just to be able to have these discussions within your family, you know, how you can support that autistic person within the family. It's conversation that needs to be had, not ignored.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because I think it's hard for other family members, and to understand how you can help.
Yeah, because it all starts with the parent and caregivers. They're the primary ones who have to look after the children.
Right.
It all starts there. They have to they bear the brunt of the burden.
Right. Now, I know it might seem a little dark or dismal to people in some of the things that we've talked about with autism, but there's also great success stories with people with autism. As we've said, it's a whole bunch of different levels. There's a spectrum of it. You can have a really severe case of autism or perhaps a mild one, but can you share you told me about a doctor that has autism and performs wonderfully in his job.
And then there's this term called savant. So the savants are these persons with autism, more high functioning autism, which they said have special gifts.
I think Mozart or Beethoven was was
definitely
one.
So there was this guy, I can't remember his name, in the UK. He has autism, but he can be in an airplane and look down at a scenery and just come back and draw in great detail the landscape and everything.
Wow, that's incredible. That's an incredible gift. So sometimes it's repackaging how we look at things.
Definitely. Yeah. As I said, for playing the piano, the performing arts, these persons are really gifted.
Okay.
And I must add, there is a statement that says that autism gives the world a window for how the brain will operate at 100%. Right? So these special gifts, if our brains were turned on 100%, then we'll be all super persons.
Right.
And so autism gives us a little window. These high function autistic persons give us a little window to say, oh wow, that's marvelous.
Yeah. It is a different way of looking at it. It's not disabled, but differently abled.
Yes.
That's something that I saw that really stuck out to me as well. We have to wrap up, but if you could just remind our listeners, I know Kiwanis Club is doing a couple of different fundraising initiatives with autism this month.
Yes.
I believe it was at the Foster's supermarkets. I can't remember the dates, if it was the 12th, so don't get me wrong.
Give you the dates again. So come out in your numbers to Foster's Airport at the 12th of April.
Okay.
And Camana Bay Foster's on the 27th of April to purchase your special autism ribbons. Okay.
And it was $5 a ribbon, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, $5 a ribbon, and it's in aid of autistic children. We want you to upload your picture of yourself wearing this ribbon or some creative gesture to our website at info@kiwanis.ky.
Well, email your picture there, and then the Kiwanis people will upload the pics. Yes. All right. There's so much more that we can cover in talking about autism, and hopefully we will on other programs on Radio Cayman throughout this month. There's so much more to say, and we barely just scratched the surface here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the Business Buzz this morning, and to our listeners for joining me, Kathy Miller, your new host, on my first Business Buzz segment. And we got to go to the 9 a.m. news before Susan looks at me any differently now. And I'll be back with you on Thursday morning from 8:15. We got Money Sense this Thursday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. And then I'll be back with the Business Buzz from 8:15 to 9. The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services.
Also brought to you by Rulins. For your important real estate decisions, contact Rulins today at 938-1000 or info@rhulens.com. Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, and right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman